to the first ever New York Playmaker Football League podcast, although we're not called New York Playmaker Football League anymore. What are we called? We're called the American
Playmaker Football League. Right?
Yeah, look at that. Right on the
APFL.
Yeah, I should know these things running a podcast. So we are here with the player owners of the Miami Breeze and the New England Nightmare. This is Jason Ruff and Eric Scheer. And we are just a podcast looking to get more information on the people who play Playmaker and what makes them tick and what they think about the league. So welcome, guys.
Thanks, Koepke, for putting it together.
Yeah. So first off, you guys have been playing this league for how long? How many years have you been doing Playmaker football?
Fall 2017? Is that when it started?
Something like that, probably.
Yeah, so like four years-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, so we started the season one of the new iteration of the league.
Yeah. Yeah, so like fall 2017, like November.
So
because we had the Turkey Bowl before the season started.
Yeah.
It's been only since 2017 since the new season started. So what was the history like? Did either of you play in the original league?
No, that was George, Derek, and Webster are the only ones left from that league.
And John, technically, but John's
not
in this anymore. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you two are some of the still now at this point oldest remaining members of this league. And how many teams were in the league when we started up again?
That first season, I want to say there was 8.
Was there?
Yeah.
George, Derek.
No, maybe there's an odd number because we had buys.
Yeah. Do we have 9? Ruffy's looking. He's got his computer.
Right. Yeah, 9 would have been.
Yeah, I'm sure there was 9 teams.
Was it still a 10-week season?
No, we had to go longer because we had 5 weeks. We ended up going 14 weeks was the last. It ended up a week longer.
Okay.
Yeah, there were 9 teams in the first iteration.
Season 1.
Yeah.
So if some of the original people were George and John and Derek, they knew what they were doing, and you guys were brand new to this. What was it like for you guys to be able to come in and try and face people who had years of experience doing this?
I'm pretty sure he beat George and Derek in the regular season that year.
Yeah, but I got lucky. I mean, it was a lot. Like, you're trying to pick George's brain because obviously you can go over to his house and talk to him and learn, but it wasn't easy. I mean, a lot of the new coaches, like us and Myson and everybody, like, we had to start from the ground up. And I think George took the approach. He wasn't going to use any of his old stuff. How true that is, I don't know, but...
No, I believe him. He started from scratch, just like us.
So, like, that season 1, it came down to how much work you put in to make new stuff every week, and that's really it.
Right.
Well, we played a lot of scrimmages before the season even started amongst ourselves.
That's true.
So we got to watch our plays quite a bit before the season even started. Yep. So we kind of had some experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm also getting the sense like the people who haven't been here since the beginning are piecemealing this together, but it sounds like maybe you guys didn't have Scout Pro or something of that sort at the beginning. Like Eric,
we had it all at the beginning. We just didn't use Scout Pro because we didn't have enough plays.
Gotcha.
And I want to throw in here, and I'm still holding a grudge. I had Scout Pro. I didn't use it season 1 because we didn't have enough plays. I tried to use it, I think, season 2. But George distinctly told me that the little note at the top that said this is like a trial version, play games are randomized, didn't matter. So I was using Scout Pro that was giving me fake numbers for all my data. So season 2, all my plays, I didn't know how well they were actually doing because all the numbers were randomized. Chalk that up to miscommunication, I guess. But for season 3 is when I realized that what the issue was because I had to run Scout Pro transcripts for Derek. And he's like, yeah, something's wrong. And then we figured it out.
Okay. So for you, was that a computer issue or was that a software issue? Like what ended up happening?
I just didn't know what I didn't know. You know, George was the expert. He said it didn't matter, so I just trusted him. Right. I didn't think anything twice about it. And all my plays averaged between like 3 or 4 yards a play. So I was like, oh, I have some decent plays on defense. My offenses suck. Let me build new ones. Oh, they still suck. Like all the numbers are random, so you just don't know.
I sent all my transcripts to George through like the first 5 seasons because I didn't have Scout Pro yet.
Yep.
But I was using it just through George.
Yeah.
So that's one of my the things that I think about a lot is you're talking about like 4 to 5 yards a play, but obviously that was with random plays. Like when you think of a play now that you have to put in a playbook, you've done all your scouting reports and whatnot, and now you're looking to put plays in your playbook. What is it that makes the cut for you? Like how do you end up paring your playbook down?
Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Running plays are pretty easy. I think everyone, like the one that averages the most yards is in.
Yeah.
Like that's pass plays is a little different. Obviously, completion percentage is huge, but I do take into account yards. So like I could have a play that's 98%, but if it doesn't get me 3 yards, it's not going in there because I can't run it 3 times and get a first down.
Right.
At the same time, I'll put something in there that will complete for like 20 yards, but only be 54%, as long as it's not a lot of interceptions.
Right.
Like I don't care because I can run that play twice. One time I'm getting 20 yards. So
Ruffy, let's say you had a play that was completing like 70% of the time, but it was gaining 5 yards, or you had a play that was completing 55% of the time, but it was gaining 9 yards. Would there be a preference for one of those two, or would you not choose either of those?
it would really depend on what the other plays were that I had. Because obviously, if I had a bunch of risky plays, I'd probably take the safer one just so I know I was getting the yards. Whereas maybe for some better teams, maybe I'm like, I'm not getting any yards downfield. I'm going to have to keep this one because it's the only one going for more than 5.
So one last thought on that one. You said with all the running plays, you just take the ones that are the highest, right? What if you look at it and all of your plays are pitches to the left? Does that ever worry you? Like, oh man, if they just create some defenses, I'm not prepared.
I'm going to be honest, that's never happened. And if it did, I would be concerned. I mean, yeah, I don't think that's ever really happened. Every single one of my run plays is mirrored. So for the most part, anything that runs to the left usually gets run to the right. Not all the time, but quite often I'll see that.
Right. How about you, Eric? What are your thoughts on how you put your playbook together?
So
offensively,
for running plays, I sort by highest average, like the average per play. Sort by the highest, and I take 10, 9, 8, 7, sometimes 6, depending on how solid the run defense is. Anything in that range will make my first cut. For passing plays, I look at it as if the play's averaging 4 yards or more a pop. If I run that play 3 times in a row and it hits, it's a first down. Mm-hmm. So 4 yards and above will make my cut for passing plays. But passing plays, there's, like Ruffy said, there's more to it. So like completion percentage, I balance that too. I like to look for anything like 70% or better, averaging 4 yards or more a play will make the first wave of cuts. If it's like a deep ball, obviously you're not going to hit 70% of the time. And if you do, you're going to win.
That's not true. I've seen that against the teams.
But like if I have a play that's averaging like 25, 30 yards a pop and it's hitting maybe 40% of the time with we'll say like a 7% interception percentage, I might throw it in there for that first round of cuts, see what it does against another book. Mm-hmm. And if I get similar results, if I don't have anything downfield, I like to keep defenses honest and at least have something that'll stretch the field. So if they don't cover it and I find it, I'll just keep calling it and I'll keep doing it. So I take some risks. I'll put some plays that'll have a high average, maybe a lower completion percentage, higher interception percentage that I'd like. But I feel like you need some of those shots in there to keep defenses from just stacking the box on you.
So with that in mind, I know players like George will put their defense to a point where, like, if it's 3rd and short, they end up putting a lot of guys closer to the line, or he sticks with his base defense, or puts in that extra linebacker. I know Ruffy has been known to be able to. I'm still going to run for it on 3rd and 6 sometimes to keep the defense honest too.
I will also throw it 60 yards on 3rd and 1. So
yeah. So do you find like I'm not going to do that against a new team because I'm pretty sure I can get that 3rd and 1, or do you do that to everyone? What are you guys thoughts on that?
I mean, it depends on the score. If it's the first drive of the game and it's 3rd and 1, I will throw it 60 yards down the field, no matter who it is. At the same time, like now, if it's the 4th quarter and I'm up by 30, that play's turned off anyway, so they're not going to have to worry about it.
Right.
Yeah, and like the way that I look at it is my whole offense will run. I can call anything in my book on first and second down, down and distance doesn't matter. It's all checked in. So the deep bomb, the short run. Sometimes I'll even turn up the QB sneak to run on 1st and 10. And I know I did that against George in a matchup a couple seasons ago. Didn't really work, but I tried it. Like third down for me though, for passing play specifically, if it's like 3rd and 6. Maybe screens, but I'm not calling a pass play that's not designed for the receiver to catch the ball under 6 yards. Unless maybe it's 100 speed, I'll take a chance. But if it's 3rd and 10, my receiver's running 10 yards down the field before he gets the catch symbol every time. Because my thought is if he catches it and gets tackled right away, he's already got the first. Sometimes I'll run if my play is average enough. Like if they average 7 yards a pop, I might change the AI to allow the runs to run on 3rd and 7. But I usually base that off of the average they get per play.
So you won't, with that in mind, you wouldn't run a screen, therefore, like knowing it's 3rd and 5, but your screen might get 9 yards of a reception. You wouldn't do a screen on 3rd and 9 because you know, like if he catches that, he's not past that line to gain.
I mean, I guess it would depend how successful it is in prep by the numbers, and then especially in the playoffs, I get really hands-on with things and tweak things. So if I'm watching and seeing like it's consistently gaining this amount no matter what defense is thrown at it, I might up that to run on 3rd and 9. But usually my screens, if it's something in that intermediate range, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 yards, they're usually turned off. Not all the time. Or like if it's 3rd and 25, I just try to pick up some yards. So I might run or throw a screen there too rather than force a deep ball that you're waiting on.
So it sounds like like you said, you're more hands-on during the playoffs. Ruffy, do you find that too? Like
absolutely.
Yeah, like you make sure that you're in a winning position in the regular season, but then come playoff time, you spend more time with the book.
Yeah, dude. If you want to win in the playoffs, you have to put in that time, and I mean, George will probably admit that now because he's losing in the playoffs now where he didn't before, and he's not doing a lot of extra.
Yep.
I mean, to be quite honest with you, it's almost getting that way in the regular season because I used to not do any extra work. Just let Scout Pro do anything, and look how last season went for me. So
was that the first time you didn't make the playoffs last season?
That's the first time since season 1.
Okay. So do you think you attribute that to like the league getting parity, or there's just a bigger league to go from? Does that with the new divisions, the fact that we all face each other twice and that's basically our season? What do you think?
Parity. I think everyone's getting better. That and I got bored and kind of burnt out with grinding all year. Yeah. So I kind of got into this mode where I just coast through the regular season. Like I said, I just do Scout Pro. Maybe I watch a couple games, and if I don't see anything I don't like really get scared about, I just let it go.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't do that anymore. Like you got to watch games now and make adjustments in the regular season.
Yep. Prepping is it's arduous. It takes I have found, like for me, I've changed my prepping process like 3 times in 6 seasons because every time that I think like, okay, now I've got it, the way that Playmaker has, or I've labeled plays, it takes me so much more time to weed through plays, and so I changed the names of the plays again. Did you guys find that you have, like, how did you name your plays, or how did you make your playmaking process, or your prep process, I should say, as quick as you can get it?
Go ahead.
So I went through like a massive overhaul. I think it was season 3. I might have went 9-1, 10-0. I had a really good season. Scout Pro was working. And then in the playoffs, first round of the playoffs, I played Bryce, and Todd Sweet threw 7 picks. Bryce dominated me on defense. Like, that was a crushing loss. So I think it was that summer is when I grinded the most. I just made a ton of plays. I started making sure, like, I'm not attacking the same part of the field. Like, if I'm designing 10 plays, I'm not designing 5 to hit the, 5-yard out by the sideline. You've got to spread it out, because if defenses see what you're doing, they're just going to stack those areas. One guy in a micro zone can stop 5 plays that all go to the same spot. So I started doing kind of like a grid. So like I might have plays like I'm getting really into my system now, so everyone's going to fucking beat me this season, but like SL 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like SL1 is 0 to 5 yards on the left sideline, right? SL5 is going to be left sideline, like 25, 30 yards downfield. So I make sure, like, when I submit a playbook, I'm not having more than maybe 2 or 3 plays go to the same spot on the field, because then it forces teams they have to try to cover everything if you're going to throw the ball everywhere. With running plays, I don't worry about it too much. I know other coaches will design plays or name them going off of the guard, the tackle, up the middle. I don't do that. I just give them a number and pick the best ones.
Right.
But that's kind of how I guess, design my plays. I try to make sure that there's a balance with where I'm going with the ball and who I'm going to with the ball.
So that brings up a whole nother thing is the overuse system is like, do you stress so much about that if you know that you need your star player to win the game? Do you still try and balance it out, or do you say screw it and you're just going to get your ball to your 100 speed wide receiver or halfback just to be able to win that game against George that day or in the playoffs if you need it?
You want to go first on this one?
So yeah, I guess playoffs are a bit different. I try and spread it around no matter what, to be honest with you. But our best players are going to get the ball the most. Like, most of my plays are to them, so they're already getting more chances. And to be honest, usually my best plays are designed to go to them. So they're going to just get more touches. But I do try and balance it, and I think for a long time I was one of the better ones at doing it, because there's definitely games where I'll throw passes to 5 different people.
Yeah. So would you I found games where I've tried to put a pass to one of each of my skill weapons, and then by the end of the game in preps, sometimes Terry Ray ends up getting 16 catches because the AI just locked onto him, and then other times he gets 2 catches because it's been spread around so much that other plays have worked. How do you end up avoiding that?
I mean, that sometimes you just can't. Like, the AI is what it is. Obviously, I look at percentages based on the number of plays in there. So if I have, I'd like to have 3 plays to everyone. That doesn't always work out that way. But I never try to have, too many. Like, I'm not going to throw 7 plays to my wide receiver 1 and 2 to everyone else.
Right.
Because I already know, looking at that, he's going to be overused. So I try and make sure that there's just a nice play breakdown.
Sometimes for me, I take the approach on offense. I want all my guys healthy every week. And if you go back and look at season 5, season 6, I had London Bass, 100-speed receiver, 100-speed halfback. My biggest weapon every week for prep was having both of them available. So you didn't know which one was going to be the main guy that week, but they never got hurt. So every week they were there.
Those are also the only 2 seasons London get over 1,000 yards.
I know. The trade-off is that if you keep everybody healthy and you balance it, you're not going to put up the monster stats, the monster stat seasons. Like, London get 1,000 yards. I don't think Bass cracked 1,000 on the ground or in the air, but they were there every week. You had to prep for them. You couldn't stack the box on Bass because then Lund would burn you.
Right.
So I used that to my advantage. And one of the ways that I did that was, everybody says get up 21, turn off your plays, right? There's times when I might turn off my screen to my halfback if I'm up 10 and I don't want to overuse Kellen Collin now, or I might adjust it so it only runs on maybe first down, or only on second down, only on third down, to force the AI to find other plays so I'm not constantly doing the same thing to the same guy, because then he's going to get hurt, and I just don't want to deal with injuries. Right. I feel like it makes it easier for your next opponent if one of your guys gets hurt.
So, speaking of rosters, you both in that season 5 game, I believe, had a 100-speed halfback. Is that correct?
I did not. I had a 75.
Okay. So
we both had 100-speed wide receivers.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. But that's a funny story, because before the season started, Scheer decided he needed some help that year, so he traded for my 100-speed wide receiver, my 75-speed tight end, and my 75-speed D tackle, and traded his entire draft for all of them.
Yep.
All 3 are in the Hall of Fame, I believe, though. So worth it.
Under Miami.
Yeah.
That was part of the trade.
And, I went the whole season without 100 speed until the trade deadline. I grabbed Benner from George.
What did you give up, a first-round pick?
First-round pick. Late first-round pick. He was retiring.
Yeah.
But I knew I was going to make the playoffs, and I figured if I was going to, I should take a weapon away from my opponent and give it to myself. So that's how that happened.
Yep.
So with that in mind, do you feel like Eric, you have no problem trading away the future for for your current roster. How do you when you go about looking at building a roster? What do you think is important to you? What do you think is important to your team makeup?
I think first it depends on like where I am, and I guess I say that because like I lost to Derek in one of the playoff games in season 4, didn't make it to the bowl. I lost by 2 yards, and I got frustrated. And I said, I'm going all in. Like I'm right there to beating Derek in the playoffs. So I traded the farm to get the guys I thought I needed to win, and it worked, thankfully. But it doesn't always work that way. That's a shout
It
out.
almost didn't.
And shout out to Mike for. I probably shouldn't say that. Edit that part out. But like for me, the biggest thing I need is a halfback. If I don't have a 75 or 100 speed halfback, my offense is not going to work the way that I want it to because I use the hell out of them.
Right.
But like 75 speed halfback, I like to have 3 receivers. So you can see I drafted Rod Peel because I want that third receiver so I can really force you to really kind of spread your defense out. And then I'm hoping based on how I structure my plays and choose, all over the field with that grid system that I'll find the holes. But really for me, it starts with a halfback.
Right. How about you, Ruff?
I mean, I've only, as far as playmakers, has had a 100-speed wide receiver until this year. I have the fullback, so that's going to be fun to try.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fun. It definitely makes it more exciting, but I would also prefer like the halfback. Like a 100-speed halfback would be a lot of fun, and the only time I've ever used one is the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl game that we ran against each other was the only time I've ever got to use one.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, any 100-speed offensive player is going to make it more fun.
Yeah.
Now, with that in mind, you say 100 speed, obviously skill weapons. When it comes to offensive line, Ruffy, you and I have had this conversation before where you don't even mind, I'm looking at your roster right now, like you don't mind having 50 speed guards, whereas many other people would want 75 or 100 speed for polling purposes. What do you think, why do you think the reason is, or do you not worry about it? You just end up pulling your tackles?
I mean, my tackles pull most of the time. Sometimes my guards do. But at the end of the day, I would rather have discipline and strength more so than speed. I mean, speed is awesome, and don't get me wrong, I would love it if they were faster, but if those guys aren't available, then I would rather have strength and discipline.
Mm-hmm. So strength and discipline because they're able to push the line and not get called for penalties, correct?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Eric, what are your thoughts on offensive line?
I don't value them hardly at all outside of discipline, just to be completely blunt. Nothing bothers me more than picking up a big first down and having it called back because your right tackle held because he has 20 discipline. Like, I would love to have a guy with 100 discipline and hundreds everywhere else. Like, Bart has 1 or 2 of those, I think. But, like, I'm not going to draft somebody early or reach or trade for somebody to get that guy. I'll take a guy that's like 50 speed, 50 strength, 60 agility if he has 80 or 100 discipline, and I'll start him, and I'll do just fine with him. Just because I think you can scheme some of that stuff out. Like, yeah, maybe your screens won't be as effective, but the other team's pass rush won't get to you if you're getting the ball out quick. Or if you're throwing deep, you can keep more guys in to help block so you're not getting sacked and just throw deep to the one guy you're looking at. I don't really value offensive linemen as much as others do, other than discipline. That's the big thing I look for.
I have found that discipline, the longer I play this game, the more discipline is important to me too. There's nothing more frustrating than having a wide receiver who has 100 agility but 40 or 60 discipline and they drop it or fumble it consistently. So I'm with you there. What else do you guys value that you think maybe other people have overlooked or that you put more value on that other people don't?
You want to go? You want me to go?
I mean, I don't know if there's things that I value more. I mean, I know George and I both like undisciplined defensive players because they're more aggressive. I would say the thing is, like, wide receiver intelligence is one thing that I absolutely do not care about. Like, they can be 20s, they can be 0s for all I care, because it does not matter. I think people put way too much into 100-speed QBs. Like, I had a 50-speed for 7 seasons, and I put up ridiculous passing yard. Like, if you're getting the ball out quick, you don't need the speed. I don't think it matters as much. I know I have one now, but I mean, that's because he happened to be available in the third round, and he was very similar to the quarterback I had before, other than speed. But I will take a 50-speed quarterback any day as long as his other abilities are ones that I care about.
Yeah.
Right. So from the current standpoint, though, you do have a 100-speed quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Don
Yeah,
Langham
I
here.
drafted him as a rookie because Potter was supposed to retire, and then he didn't. So Langhorne didn't get to start till he was in his fourth season.
So now
But
that you,
like I said, I drafted him more because of his strength, agility, and discipline.
right.
I liked all of those things. The speed was just a nice plus. It was there. I liked everything else he had.
So, Ruff, you get the ball out so quickly that it's not really a worry that you're going to get sacked a lot anyway. Like, I don't see your quarterbacks running for their life a lot like sometimes you see with Bart or with myself because they take a little bit of time to develop. You get the ball out so quick. So with a 100-speed quarterback, did you find that you had to change a lot of your plays in order to make them fit?
Didn't change a thing. I did not change one goddamn thing.
That's good.
Well, all right. So I don't know if I should tell.
You can keep your secrets if you you don't have to say
Well,
anything.
I have an issue with Playmaker. I don't know. I can't remember when it started, but I can't run out of the shotgun and have my quarterback pause and catch it. It will not work. He'll catch it and just throw it somewhere. It does not matter. So I have to start my quarterback closer to the line of scrimmage and start him moving backwards on the snap.
Okay, so I don't know if that's a...
I mean, obviously, I'm not allowed to have him 7 yards or 8 yards deep when he catches it. So he's right around the 5 yards where we're allowed to have them.
Yeah.
But that's an issue that I've had.
Technical difficulties. Be right back.
I feel the curtain back on my stuff, too.
Hey.
I do all my offensive plays out there now.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
Have to.
All
What's
right.
up, Koepke? Back.
Okay.
Is that a commercial break?
Yeah, commercial break. Sure, why not? Okay.
Okay.
Can you guys see the YouTube page?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so let's start off with your guys' matchup against each other. So we'll come here to the bowl game. I thought, I had just rewatched this today, and I thought that this was probably one of the better bowl games that we've seen, or at least that I've been a part of. And
Second closest margin of victory.
Yeah, I mean, Ruffy, honestly, from what I could see, and let me see if I can find where I was coming at here. 11:52 left in the fourth quarter, so let's see if I can make this full screen here real quick. Great podcasting here.
Trial run.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a super close game. It was 24-28, and you had the ball here. And unfortunately, he picked it off right there. And that's where it felt like the game not got out of hand, but just it was kind of the turning point for the rest of the game. So Eric's able to take a few minutes off the clock, and the score ends up being, you each will end up getting one more touchdown at this point, but the game's out of reach because your offense is more designed to go quickly, like we've talked about before. So what did you guys think about that game? How did it change your approach for anything? Eric, for you, that was big because you knew that possibly a lot of your older retirement guys might be leaving. What were your thoughts on that game?
I mean, it was really stressful going into it because we were both new to the bowl. We didn't want to lose, one, the bowl, and two...
Not stressful for me at all. I wasn't supposed to be there.
Well, it was really stressful for me, especially because I traded with him to get the guys, and then to lose in the bowl after making that trade would have been awful. So, I felt added pressure, maybe is the better way to say it, because of the trade that I had to get this win because I sold out to do it. That game was the single game that I put in the most time for a game ever. Even after in playoff games or regular season games. I spent every free second I had prepping this week. It was a grind. I mean, it was worth it, but it took a lot.
I would argue the bigger play in this game, more so than that interception, was him holding me to that field goal earlier in the game.
Yeah.
Because I ended up losing by 4.
Right.
So I know he got a sack on 3rd down because it would have been 3rd and short or 4th and short, and I may have gone for it, and he ended up getting a sack and making it 3rd and long.
Yep.
But I will also say my favorite play was that 4th and 1 66-yard bomb I threw.
Yeah, that was incredible.
That was in the first quarter. I saw that play working in prep.
Yep.
And I was like, I need to turn this up and run it constantly and never stop. And then I got thinking, like, what if he finds this and...
Yeah. Probably would have.
Oy. So why don't we go to, unfortunately...
Thinking of the Miami heartbreak.
Yeah, the Miami heartbreak here, unfortunately. But it was a moment that I think, because we were all on the call at the time thinking, okay, Ruffy's going to be able to keep the ball here. And, I mean, just 2 bits of bad luck back to back. That was just insane. I'm not sure anyone saw this all coming. But obviously...
Well, I don't think anyone expected me to even be winning at that point.
Right.
Because this was when Mike had 100 speed, tight end, halfback.
Oh, this was that season.
And wide receiver. Okay. And I think I had like a 75 speed safety and corner on the other side to stop him.
But you had the experience, though.
Yes.
So we get our play, this toss out to the left, an unfortunate fumble 6. What do you think that you're thinking at this point in time? You're only down by a field goal. You have 3 timeouts. There's $1:40 left on the clock.
I figured I'd run the clock out because he hadn't really stopped me from running it. Oh wait, no, I'm losing at this point, right?
Yeah,
at this point you're losing.
Yeah, I thought I was going to drive down and score because he'd only made me punt once, and I think he picked off 1 pass. So other than that fumble, like he had not stopped me. So I figured I was scoring and I was going to win.
And I think many of us probably thought that too. And at this point, you're only about maybe 10 yards away from field goal range, like realistically, if you needed to.
Yeah, but I was going to get a touchdown.
And
I mean, other than the fact that stupid interception that bounced 10 yards into his defender's hands.
Right. I mean, this is such a rare play. Like I've been, I think I've seen every week of Playmaker since I've been in season 4, and it's rare to see a bounced ball like this, a tipped ball that is just tipped and then caught. Like it's crazy bad luck. I mean, that's almost Meissen level bad luck.
That was more annoying. That was more annoying. Well, Meissen shoots himself in the foot, but that was more annoying than the fumble because that guy, I think he had agility and discipline issues because that was early in his career.
Nate Walker?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So it wasn't unheard of for him to fumble. It was really bad timing because he hadn't done it all game.
Yep.
But
the randomness, onside kick has caused enough grief in the league that we've had to change the onside kick rule.
Yep.
So let me go back here. So I took some notes on this because I wanted to check out this game because I actually, after saying I've seen just about everything, this was one game that I missed. That's what having a 1-year-old will do. So let's see, 12:10 left to go. So I'm a little bit behind here. Perfect. So 12:10 left to go, and you kick an onside kick, and it doesn't go your way. It goes out of bounds. So you're only down by 6. He gets the ball back, and I believe you're going to end up sacking him here for like a 10-yard loss, like a pretty big loss here in a moment. After the complete. So he had a chance to end up putting this game away, and he didn't do it. Now, of course, like we've all been there, but you're going to score a field goal here. You're going to come down, and he's able to stop you for theoretically, possibly the game-winning defensive drive. But his defense for the onside kick, it's only set up for the right. It's not really set up for the left. Now you have the numbers and his guys in perfect position, but of course with playmaker you end up getting your kick, and of course will end up winning the game. So you've been at the center of this, and there was obviously a big hullabaloo at the beginning of the season. Now that you've had almost a season to really think about it, what are your thoughts on this?
I remember back when I was grinding after that loss to Bryce in season 3, and it might have been even after that. I focused on everything: offense, defense, special teams, situational plays. So I think the rule at the time was if you're losing in the fourth quarter, you can onside kick, and nobody had really taken advantage of it or done it consistently. So I said, screw it. If I'm ever losing in the fourth quarter, I'm going to onside kick because the rule allows you to. Why would I not, right?
Right.
And then for a while there, I did it, and nobody contested it. I don't remember the season. It might have been season 5, the second time I played Bart. I resubmitted the same playbook from our first matchup, and Bart dominated me for most of that game until the fourth quarter. And I think I recovered like 3 onside kicks, but the theme up to this point was nobody really tried to stop it. Nobody put in the time to have an onside kick recovery, and I was always kicking strong side at that point. Mm-hmm. So I won that game against Bart strictly because he didn't stop the onside kick. And I won a couple games like that, I think. Maybe not the same way, getting 3 in a row, but I would get them in timely spots because coaches didn't have guys prepped for it. I don't remember the season of the week, but there was a game against Orlando when I was set up in the fourth quarter onside kick, strong side. He went to recover it, and he recovered it. He stopped it. So then that moment I was like, okay, this has been working pretty well. No one's tried to stop it. Orlando just stopped it. He had it prepped and ready. Let me make one, kind of mirror it, adjust some of the things, and we'll make it a weak side onside kick. So that way I could pick and choose which one I thought was doing better in prep each week. And sometimes I leave them both in, and I let the game figure it out. I put it in God's hands, right?
Yeah.
So this week against Derek, I think the first one, it went out of bounds. It didn't go 10 yards or whatever it was. I thought I lost the game at that point, to be completely honest. I needed the onside kick to beat Derek in that game, clearly. When I got the second one, I felt like I won. It was over. But my biggest frustration with that whole conversation was up to that point, I just felt like nobody had tried to stop it except Orlando. And the one time he tried to stop it, he did. So that was where I was coming from. I put in the work. I grinded. I spent a lot of time on the onside kick, making sure that it would go 10 yards almost every time. It wouldn't go out of bounds. My guys would be in the right spot. It wasn't something I whipped together in 5 minutes. I spent hours on that thing.
Yeah.
And clearly, it was powerful. It worked. But that's just where I was coming from. Nobody seemed to try to take advantage of special teams except for Webster with his returns. Nobody really put in the time on special teams. So I looked at it as there's an opportunity to gain an edge on people that aren't putting time in there.
Sure. Yeah. Special teams is 1/3 of the game. Absolutely. So do you think, we're always trying to balance this. There's obviously holes in a 30-year-old game where there's some things that just aren't realistic, but we want to try and balance as close as we can to real football. And so if it were real football, sometimes you might be able to sneak in an onside kick at the beginning of the third quarter just to throw the other team off guard. Do you think that this is better for the league? Do you think will eventually change? Do you think people will start being able to prep onside kicks better? Or do you think we've reached our final conclusion with onside kicks?
People still need to prep it better. Just because we limited it to 2 minutes doesn't mean that they put in any extra work to stop it.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't think we'll expand the rule, at least in the next couple seasons. I think it's going to stay losing under 2 minutes because of all the drama that it caused. But, personally, I'd like to see a situation where a team that's losing in the fourth quarter can onside kick outside of 2 minutes and try to get back into the game. But I think there's other ways to do it. Maybe they can only send, only go strong side, but they can only send 3 guys to recover. Everybody else has to just, a pause command, or they stay back behind the line. So it's 3 on 11. Really put it in the defense, I guess, the defense's favor, so that they're more likely to recover. But I think as a coach, if you're losing in the fourth quarter, you're going to try to win that game, right? Onside kick is how you get back in it. I don't like that a coach that's losing doesn't have a way to catch up. But I recognize now that the onside kick, maybe the way we had it, was too powerful and it made it too easy to catch up. I think there's a better balance, but I think what we have works, and I'm just over it. I'm just not going to be losing in the fourth quarter anymore, and I'm just going to beat people by a lot and just never let it happen.
Yeah, that's the way you never have to do an onside kick. I mean, I definitely lucked into a win against Blue Mountain State with an onside kick because he wasn't prepared for it, and I got 3 in a row. So I know that there's some unrealistic nature there, but he also didn't prep for it. But he learned, and obviously he learned enough that he won the ship last year, and so I think maybe we all need to take those scars with us. So hopefully, if the conversation's not done, hopefully we learn from that. Yep. We did have one more game to look at here. I was super interested, Eric, in your. Let me share our screen here. I was super interested in your game against Syracuse, and let me get that up. Can you guys see the screen again?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So I was just kind of astounded at this play and that it continued to work throughout the game. So not only for your thoughts on how this play operates, but what you would do in the situation if it were beating you. Would you steal the play, or not steal it, but copy it in your own way?
Yep.
What are some other thoughts here? So first, let's just take a look. I'm going to end up slowing this down because this play, again, it fascinates me. So you clearly have a fake screen going to the left or going to the right.
Yep.
And then Royce Lund is going to take essentially just a slant route, and he gets past the defense here on this play. And then he's just faster than everyone else, of course, so no one can catch him.
It's like the exact same thing I've read.
Yeah.
Did you get that from me?
I don't remember.
So we'll go back and look at that play a time or two too. But do you remember? Did you make up that play to try and beat his defense, or was that a play you already had that was just working against him?
That was a play that I designed in the offseason before Season 6 started. So I was doing my prep for the regular season, but I was also designing some things that I was going to save for the playoffs. Because I like to have a bank of plays on offense especially, maybe not so much defense, but plays nobody's seen before. So that way, if they work, you literally cannot prep it. I've never shown it. And this was one of them that I saved, and it worked for prep for the bowl, so I threw it in there and cranked the AI up because it was working. But in terms of like the design, my thought was, I mean, it's hard to stop a 100-speed halfback and a 100-speed receiver, right?
Right.
You're going to key on those guys. I'm known for having strong screen passes, so let me throw a fake screen in here. That way, it'll take advantage of linebackers over the middle that maybe have a running back read command or a line read command. It'll pull them to the right, and then I'll just kind of backdoor Lund with the slant going to hopefully the wide side of the field so he has more room to run. And once you get those 100-speed receivers space on slants across the middle, we've all seen it. I've been burned by it in the playoffs the last 2 years. Once they catch the ball and there's green in front of them, it's off to the races.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that was kind of the logic behind how I built it, knowing that Bass would get hot eventually. He would attract more attention. The lineman pulling would attract attention. Any linebackers over the middle, they would be forced to move in that direction to the right, open up kind of the behind them slant.
Now, you'll go on to win this game by a lot. I believe it was 59-14 or something of that nature, 59-17. So, I mean, like, the play ends up working really well. And I stopped keeping track of how many times that play worked after about 4 or 5, because that was the second time we just saw. And then here at 4:55, we're going to see it again. So I'll back up a second. But this is the third time I caught it in 2 quarters, and each time it essentially goes for a touchdown or goes for an extremely long gain. So it continued to work, and it was the thing that ended up probably winning you your game for sure, along with all the other prep you did. I was wondering if you had, and you mentioned that if you knew that Syracuse might try and sell out and stopping your screen, which at that point was something that was dominating the league. A lot of people couldn't stop it. So was that, I mean, Do you think more so than the prepper just holding on to something? Was it like, I'm going to crank up the AI on that? Or was it just, no, it was just working?
I mean, it was a little bit of both. I figured this stopping the screen was going to be a priority because in the bowl, I throw to my halfback a lot. In the bowl, there's no injury, so I'm definitely going to take advantage of throwing a screen to a 100-speed halfback.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to be next week. There is no next week. So my thought was he might try to sell out for that. And I think I had a screen play that was very similar in terms of like Bass and the lineman pulling, just without the Lund action. So my thought was not that it really matters too much in Playmaker, but like maybe it does. I don't know. Let's confuse the defense by having the same screen go to Bass, and then later in the game, let's call it where it's a pump to him and you hit Lund on the slant. So it was more of like a visual trick for like us to be caught off guard by it as watching the game run. I don't know if it really tricks the players on the field too much.
I mean, we can watch it and see what the linebackers are doing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I think they pull to the right a little bit.
They definitely do.
They did pull the right a little bit, and that's what makes it incredible. So essentially, the front seven is taken out, and now you're dealing with the back four having to be in position, and usually the two cornerbacks for Syracuse, at least in that game, were not. We have time for one, and it would end up being called. So Matt Block here. At least I believe it was Matt Block who ends up taking the pass. Am I still on slow motion? Yeah, I am here. But the reason why I loved this play so much is you're not even trying to confuse anyone with with other routes. It's literally the one player on the right sideline just taking a 9 route. Is that something you exploited in in your prep, or was it a play that already existed?
It was a play that already existed. It was a play that he had never seen. Yeah. I saw it in prep, and I was like, "This is killing him."
It wasn't the halfback. It was Dante Brenner. That's my bad. But I believe you did have a halfback throw in there as well somewhere.
Well, because here's the thing. I mean, he's just faster. I just put him out there and let him outrun everyone. I mean, I am doing more on that play than just that. I'm pretty sure I do. I fake to the running back first, and then I'm pretty sure I pump to the wide receiver before I throw it to him.
Yeah, you do.
I'd like to buy him a couple extra steps, even though he doesn't need it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just really incredible because it's so rare to see essentially one 9 route and Eric, the defense, like, I'm just so used to you always having a guy like 45 yards back that to see everyone there, but obviously it was a 4th and 1 play, so it was a risky call by Ruffy. So yeah, incredible play.
It was risky.
Well, part of my growing pains, I guess, from that play specifically was that kind of spawned the birth of the New England defender 80 yards deep off screen, ready to make a tackle if everybody else gets beat. Because watching that play hit, it was frustrating. There's nothing more frustrating than having what you think is a great defensive game plan or a great playbook, and a deep ball just kills you and you have no answer for it. That's the most frustrating way to lose. And I thought on that 4th and 1, oh no, there's a hole. It's a deep ball. I'm going to watch this 30 times, and I'm going to lose by 100.
You should have. I should have turned that thing up.
Yeah,
I was a coward.
Okay, I mean that's the majority of my questions here. I wanted to end it with, I'm going to try and end every podcast with this. What are your guys' most memorable wins and losses? What do you remember most about the league? What are your favorite moments or your worst defeats?
I mean, you saw both of mine. Like the Scheer one bothered me for a while because I knew I could have won that bowl, especially after trading all those players. It was like I still made a bowl and I could have won it, and then came away with two drafts essentially. But the Mike loss definitely has hurt worse, and now I don't look at the bowl game quite so. It doesn't bother me as much as the loss to Syracuse Mike. As far as winning, I think one of the bigger ones was definitely the first time I beat George. I want to say it was season 3, week 2, because that was kind of like the moment where I was like, oh, I can beat these better teams. I mean, I still don't beat George very often, but at least that felt like I was getting there. And then another fun one that I'm not going to forget about, sorry, Webster, but was the season 1, week 7. I played Webster. I only had one defense in my playbook, and I beat him 17-12.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Eric, how about you?
I think for me, the 2 games that caused me to question my existence in Playmaker, I already referenced them both, but that season 3 playoff loss to Bryce where Sweet threw 7 picks, that was really frustrating. Bryce had a really solid game plan.
Is that the one where he threw to his fullback,
yeah,
just down the field on you?
Yeah.
The same play over and over?
Yeah, I mean, I think I lost, I don't know, it was 27-12 or 14 or something. I didn't get blown out, but man, offensively, I couldn't do anything. And when I finally started to piece a couple plays together, I'd throw a pick. And it wasn't the same play that I kept throwing a pick on. He just kept picking the ball off. So I definitely grew through that. And then season 4, that loss to Derek. I remember late in that game, Todd Sweet dropped a snap. I fucking hate drop snaps. He dropped a snap around the 50-yard line or so. Late in the game, I think I'm down by 4. I end up driving. Last play of the game, I throw an inside slant to the left to Miguel Reynolds. He tackles him at the 2, game over. So 2 more yards, and I beat Derek and go on to the next round of the playoffs there.
Right.
So that was the moment I said, I'm going all in. And I traded for Bass. I traded for Lund. I figured I'm right there. I'm knocking on the door. Let's just kick it down. In terms of the wins, I mean, any win over George and Derek, they're tough to get. So those are big. I mean, I have to say the 2 bowl wins just because it's nice to win the bowl.
Sure.
But the biggest one was the first one against Ruffy because it was the first time somebody other than George or Derek won a bowl.
It was the first time anyone had been there other than George and Derek.
Yeah, exactly. And the pressure of that trade to go all in and then potentially losing that game after going all in and not taking George's advice of waiting till the league resets and then make a move. I felt so much pressure that I had to win that game. Otherwise, I was just going to look like an idiot, and I didn't want to look like an idiot. So,
all right. What's one piece of advice you would give to the newer players? Just off the top of your head, what's one thing that you think, man, if I knew that when I was first starting, that would have helped me out a lot?
I mean, I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I would say, I'll give a couple here. The more plays you have, the easier it is to find plays that work every week. Attacking the sidelines on offense and defending the sidelines on defense is huge. You can exploit that on both sides of the ball. I think the biggest piece of advice is just staying organized. Have a naming system that works, that you're going to stick with, so you don't have to rename your plays all the time. So you can look at a play and kind of know what it does, who gets the ball, where it goes. Those are probably the big 3 that I would say. A lot of plays, attack the sidelines, defend the sidelines, and have a good good organized system.
Cool.
I guess for me, the biggest thing is just be aware it's a grind. No matter what you think, you're not just going to join and win.
Yep.
You're going to have to take your lumps, and it's very frustrating, and sometimes it feels like you're never going to catch up, but I would say everyone does. Look at Bart just won a bowl. Mike's been to a couple bowls. They both hung with it, and Koepke, you're probably going to get there soon. You're hanging in there. You just got to take your lumps and just get better.
Yep.
I do feel that that Bart and I at the beginning, because we both started at the same time, I think I got better faster than Bart, but that also meant that Bart was able to collect better players early on. So by the time he's won his championship here, he was able to collect a 100-speed running back and a 100-speed wide receiver and tight end where I couldn't. But you know what? I now have a better idea of what's happening too. So it definitely takes time to be able to get into this game for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Good luck in the season.
You too, Koepke.
See you, dudes.